All right, there we are. So now we're recording. So for my oh man, that CRM was a great play. Did you get into it?
Yeah, I got in and it hit the level that you gave me, but I got out before then because I got scared.
Okay. Yeah, so I did the 90, I went back to the 90 days since you said you were looking to swing it. So I went back to the 90 days, and I took the 90-day high and low. And then I was, like I said, I don't know when you called it out as, do you remember what was around this 150 level?
Um, I'm not sure. I want to say maybe because let's see the 50. Oh wait, what's the 50 level?
So the 50% is at 165, and you can see it bounced right off of that and trailed back down today.
Oh no, I think I got in based off 160, 160, which looked like it was like a double top.
So yeah, so there was a little bit of support, or sorry, resistance. So here's a 160, 160. You can see there's some support here and then right here. So that means you called it out around this area probably. Um, but yeah, and then we have a nice little cup going on right here. Beautiful possible double top. I would consider this being a cup with the way the market's looking. Hopefully the handle will come back down. That 200 EMA will trail. So you can see right here how we traded sideways. Right here, traded
Yeah.
sideways, bounced right off that 200 EMA. Couldn't hold. Then we made that 90-day low, came back up, and then it jumped above it, hit that fib. Um, and then we traded and we were able to hold that 200 EMA. And then finally, when that 21 started coming up, it pushed it up above, right to that 50% retracement, and we bounced right off of that today, yesterday into today. So again, I would wait for that to trail back down since you did get out. And then this 200 EMA is going to trail up. And then that 156.47, 156.50, which used to be resistance, which is right here. Hopefully, if that turns into support, then we can play that up to that 172 level. Definitely take profit at 165, 166, this 50% retracement. If we break, then we'll go up to that 172.
Okay, one more thing. Can you zoom out so I can see like the beginning of your fib? Okay.
So then if we come back out even farther, let's do the daily. You can see these levels here, that 100, it got touched right here, it got touched right here. So this 194, 195 level is going to be, I mean, it's been touched 4 or 5 different times before traded back down. And you can see right here how it was support, broke through, double topped here, right off that 90 EMA, came down. Finally, we broke through, came up, touched it again. So you can kind of just see how it trades right off of that. So
Yeah.
the fact we're above the 9 and the 21, and then that 200 EMA on the daily is trading down. So probably before you get that 172, this is going to come down. So I'd assume if we are bullish, that 165, we break through, that 172 will be the next point of resistance.
Okay, cool.
Do you have any questions on that, Tanya? How I drew my fibs, kind of that technicals that I talked about? If you want, you can type, since your mic doesn't seem to be working properly. So we'll go ahead and look at Amazon. So again, if I wanted to trade the fibs right here on Amazon, you can see the yearly, that's about it. I mean, a pretty big decrease. So I'm gonna go to the 90-day just so we don't have as much of a, so our levels will be a little bit closer. If I wanted to draw a trend line, I might be able to from here up to here. So you can see we're kind of riding right along that trend line. If I wanted to do a 2, this is less likely. Yeah, I'm not going to draw that. So then now I want to do my fibs. Go from the high to the low. Uh-oh. So Amazon, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was you that asked about Amazon and levels when I went live on Wednesday, or was that Monday? But when I draw my fibs, like I said, like you just saw, I did the 90 day. Usually I like to do the 180 day just because you have a lot more price action and price levels. But when you have such a big sell off and you can go to the 123, 161.8, then I kind of just go to the closer levels just so it keeps me more grounded on my profit taking. You can see right here how we have like a triple bottom, quadruple bottom before we came up. And then we came down. We didn't quite touch it, but now we're trading back up and now we're on that trend line. So with the fibs, I have my 100, the normal fibs. So when you do your strategy with the fibs, you'll be this 0 to 100. And then I added that negative 23.6. I added that 123.6. And then that 161.8, which is the 61.8 is the golden ratio. That's the strongest level. So you can see right here, we're going along this trend line pretty well from the past month or so. Kind of a double top right there. I'll zoom in. So yesterday, so if we look at yesterday's high, you can see how there's a lot of support or resistance right here. And there's a mini cup formed. Again, this is not as big of a cup. So if this is a cup and handle, this will play out a lot faster. And if it does play out, it'll go to that 124.50 and decide to make a move. So I always talk about a 50% retracement. Let me go back to the 90 day. So if I'm looking here, you can see that there's a mini cup being formed. And then if we had a big sell off, we can come back down. So I would say look for this to trace back down to that 112.90, 113 level before, and that'll kind of make that cup come a little bit closer, and then we can come back up. If you're trying, but the biggest level is this 124.50, 126. So once we get over that, there's really not much in the way. You can see we have a huge sell off right here. We filled that gap, but in between this 120 to that 129 level, we really don't have much price action. So from that blue line to this green line. So once we can break up above that 50%, you can see right here when we broke above it how far it went up. And then once we broke below it, it came down pretty quick. So there's really not much price action within these areas. So once we're able to break through that this trend line that has been formed, we should hit that 50%, that 124.50 level. If we can break that 124.50, then we'll go straight to that 129. And you can see that 200 EMA right here. This is the 4 hours. So remember, it's going to change. But that seems to be a level of resistance. So that's going to trail back down. Once we break that, then we won't have too much in the way of resistance as only apart from the Fibonacci levels. So if we come down to the 1 hour, again, you can see it touched. Let's go to the 90 day. So we can look at that 200 EMA. Bounced off it once, bounced off it twice, came down a little bit, bounced off, and then we hit the fib. And then what happened? We traded, came back up, we crossed it, but we didn't stay up there very long. And then now we're using that 200 EMA as a resistance point. So we did break it. yesterday, but then today we are now trading below it. So for this, I would say wait for this to trail back down to that 112 level, 113 level, come back up, and then once we break that 200 EMA, that would be your buy. Your buy then will go into that 124.50 up to the 129.75 level. So does that make sense how I'm integrating this 200 EMA into the Fibonacci levels? So if we come in closer, we look at our, we had this huge sell off, and then today we had a little bit of bullish momentum, and then you can see right here, we touched right off that fib. And then now we came back down. But what's good is I don't have the extended hour data on, but it's looking like we are finding some support and bottoming out around that 115.50 level. So tomorrow, if we can hold this where this closed, we touched it 3 times, we should hopefully be able to move back up. So I'll go over AMD. I'm really mad at myself today about this trade. I called it, but we'll go back. And so I updated these levels later on. So we have the 61 point, let me update this, 61.98. I have updated these after the fact. I'm not using this wick because that's all right, I'll just go ahead and do it. 55.71. Just so we have the exact high and exact low in the last 5 days, right? So I'm going to turn on the extended hours. And yesterday, unfortunately, I wasn't around my computer, but this would have been a perfect trade. So I always talk about kind of wait to see how the extended hours are trading going into the market. So if we looked at yesterday's price action, right? Excuse me. So we kind of trailed back down. If we come back, so after hours, we had or pre-market, we had this huge sell-off, right? Then we came up, we were strong during the middle of pre-market. And then towards the end, we started to trail off a little bit down. And then we had this huge wick to the downside, this huge 5-minute candle. Well, what happened is we came down, we found support, but look at these wicks, wick. So once we broke this, and once we saw that you couldn't, it wicked right off that 9 EMA, wicked right off that 9 EMA, and then that 200 EMA. So this would have been an entry. And then your take profit would have been right here at the this fib level. And we can see if we draw a price action price right here and we zoom out, let's see where that hits. So if we go back, it kind of hit that pre-market low from the previous day where we broke down. But during that day, there's really, so a little bit difficult to pinpoint this bottom. Yes, you could have drawn that pre-market low, but the targets would have been, okay, we get in, we wait for premiums to shoot up, and then boom, once we get down on AMD, if we got in right off this wick 58.40 and then we got out at 57, that right there, $1.40 move, that's a pretty good 10-12%. Even the call that I had today, it reached 10% within the first minute, but I was expecting it to obviously go down, and it reversed on me. So that was how we could have traded that on Tuesday. Now we looked into yesterday, and again, this is why I said I was upset I wasn't around. If you look in yesterday's, we had bullish momentum going into so you can see we kind of double top, triple topped right here. But what happened, we opened, and then that first candle went right above that 50% retracement. So we have that bullish momentum coming up. Yes, these are technically bearish candles, but look at that wick. So even though this opened here and it wicked down and it came, and then of course we wait the 5-10 minutes, the first 5 minute, we close here, we come up, and then we close above the VWAP. This would have been a great entry right here off of that. So we broke through one of the strongest resistance levels, and then we could have ridden this up from 59.58. Then our first price target would have been here at the 60.60 level. So right there's a dollar move, taking some profit off the board, and then continued up to where you can see this 61.33 level is. And if we go back, we can see where is. I think that was just the high. So yeah, so again, not really know where that 61.33, where that first level, we wouldn't have really known to take profit there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So this would have been, because obviously we would have expected this to come up to that 61.98 mark, but you would have came here. And then if you miss this first big move, then what's your next entry point? You wait for it to retrace back down to the 9 EMA. It broke through that, but what did it stop on? It stopped right here at that FIB level. So it found support, had didn't even come close to the VWAP, and then it come close to the 21 EMA, and then we traded up, kind of wicked off, and then once we found support here, the 9 EMA, then now where does it go next? So again, right here is another $1.25 move, which is pretty a pretty good percentage on AMD. So that's how you could have played that yesterday. Again, you can see we were bouncing right off this 200 EMA in the 5-minute. Once we see a bullish candle here, we break that golden ratio, and then now we enter. Fast forward to today. This is why I assumed it was going to be bullish today. So I'm going to go ahead and take, so you can see how this was a bullish, or sorry, it's bearish coming down. But what did we hold? We held the 61.8%. So we held what is the strongest support and the strongest resistance level for Fibonacci's. I always preach that. Like I said, I'm upset at myself. I saw this bearish momentum. I was expecting this to come down to this 50% retracement. And then I was going to get in right here and make our move up. So I'm going to take the extended hours off so you can see why I called out what I did. So here's today. So I was expecting, again, like I said, that 50% retracement. So if I was paying attention, here we wicked, we didn't touch it, we wicked off, we closed above that golden ratio. And then here we closed above the golden ratio, and we closed above the 200 EMA in that 5-minute. The next chart came down, the next candle came down at wicked right off that golden EMA. So this right here is a third confirmation, and we have a doji. Granted, it is bearish, but I mean, barely. And it's right, it closed above the 200 EMA. So this right here could have been an entry, but I was afraid of what? That 9 EMA coming down. So I said, okay, let me wait for this to go up to that 9 EMA and see where it makes a move. We started wicking really hard off of that. So yes, if I got in right here, that 59.93, could have rode that up to the 60.65. So a 70-cent move within less than 5 minutes, that would have been a pretty sizable profit. Like I said, if we're just looking for 10 or 12%, AMD, that would have covered it. And then again, I was looking, saw that wick and that wick, and I was waiting for this to close. So I almost entered here when we didn't. We wicked right off that 21, and then this next candle closed, but I said, okay, I'm going to be patient. So then what happened? I got in here off of this 9 EMA. Yes, again, it was an early entry because of the VWAP. We hadn't closed below the VWAP, but I was certain that we're going to come down at least and retest this golden ratio. And I omitted to take into consideration this 200 EMA on the 5-minute. So again, I was talking about the 200 EMA, and this was up about 12-13%. But I got into a small position. If I got into my normal position, totally, I would have taken profit off of here. But because I got into a small position, I said, okay, I wrote it up. And then that next candle just shot straight up. I was still in it because it bounced. What happened? It bounced off that 21 EMA again. Um, so I said, okay, there's still some resistance there. And then this next candle was a doji. It went below the 9, and then I got out on this candle right here. Could have got a free entry in right here off of this candle. It held that fib, and then you can see it came up um, for calls. But again, I made that trade. I had to leave, so I just kind of left. And then unfortunately, I wasn't around in the afternoon. Where what do we have? Our lunchtime sell off. So if you look, this is 12:10, 12:30. 1, 2, triple top volume. You can see the volume is really, really low. And then as soon as it broke that 9, and that 20, the 21 and the 9 cross to the downside, 1, 2, 3 confirmation right here. Boom, could have got in. And then where do we retrace back to? Where I was hoping that this candle would have went. So ultimately we got there. If I held, then yes, I would have been able to make profit or at least sell at break even. But with the way the market was going to, I wasn't going to risk it because I wasn't able to stare at the chart. So that's how AMD could have been traded today. You can see 1, 2, 3 volume slowing up. So see this big spike right here, but then we come over here, the exact same price action volume's a lot lower. So that's gonna lead to a downside. And then this would have been a huge trade for 1 hour. Just watched it. There's really no, you're really not in any sort of trouble. This would have been the probably my first profit, or yeah, I would have probably cut at the VWAP. As soon as we broke the VWAP, you can see that we had a big, and then the 200 EMA and the 5 minute didn't really matter. So that was AMD. Again, it wasn't around to trade it, unfortunately, in the afternoon. So there we are. Any questions regarding that?
Can you
Uh,
can you redraw your fibs on AMD?
Redraw my fibs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I did. So this is very different. So I did the 5 day high and the 5 day low. Again, sometimes I don't use the wick. I will go where we see right here, where there's more of a base. But for this example, I use the wick just because the wick isn't really that long. Now, if the wick was like down to 55, I probably wouldn't have used the wick, if that makes sense. Because in my opinion, that's algorithms. That's not people forming that. So that's why you'll see on pre-market and extended hour data, I don't. So this is the 5 day, and until this, so I'll still use these tomorrow. So we're up right there at that 60, or right. So we're right here at that 61.98. So maybe tomorrow if we open up above, because you said there's that news above 62. Again, I don't, that's a huge, from 104 to 54, that's a huge gap. So maybe I'll come down and I'll just use the 10 day. So 10 day we have 61.98, and then maybe I'll come. So again, if we break that 61.98, I probably won't redraw the fibs because our next fib level is at 63.46. And then you can see let's go back to the 20 day 1 hour. So we're not even close to on this fib. We're not even close to that 1 hour 200 EMA. So there's still a lot of more room for this to grow. And then if we get above, if we break that 63.46, look what happens. That 200 EMA will come down. This is going to come up and they will touch, but we have a gap fill up here above 64. So around 64 to 67, there's a gap fill. So my fibs that I drew are on the 5 day. And these will last for a little bit until we break that 62 up to the 63. Then I'll just redraw it that way.
Okay.
And you're good with CRM, correct?
Yep.
Are there any other trades that you want me to go over?
I'm swinging XLE.
Chris called out American Airlines, and they like it didn't do anything.
What was it? I'm having trouble hearing you still. Sorry. So XLE and what didn't it? You said something didn't do anything. That's all I got out of that. Energy is a good one to swing. Again, you can see the 200 EMA, how that's acting, right? So tomorrow when we open up, you got we'll come up over here. So I'm going to draw, if I want to draw my fibs, I'm not going to draw them on this 82.2 because when the day opens, then we'll be on to this day. Does that make sense?
Nope.
No? Okay.
So where would you draw it?
1 second. So this is a 5-day chart, right? So we have 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, and then this is the 6th day. So tomorrow this is going to be the stock is going to be here for tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to shift. So all this is going to shift to the right. So this is going to shift to the right.
Okay, I understand now.
So if I do it, oops, I'm trying to, I don't know what that is. So this is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then today will be or tomorrow will be the 6th day. So I'm gonna draw the fibs because these won't be in question tomorrow on this 5-day chart. But now you still got to have that in the back of your mind that, so maybe, let's see, there's that, and then I'll come to this low right here, right? But if I want to, and I want to keep that in the back of my mind as a level, let's make this to the left. So it doesn't really matter because that 81.91 is pretty close to the 82.2. So I guess they're about 30 cents off. Let me see how close I got to this low. 84. So I'll go ahead and make that 84. So now does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you won't see this tomorrow. This is going to disappear. But this price action. So just keep it into your mind. I mean, if we sell off to the 82 level, then that's going to be a problem. I hope you got into puts. But here we are for this, and we're looking at that 200 EMA on the 5-minute right now. That looks to be bounce off it once, and then we bounce off it 2, 3 times, which doubled at that 50%. So this is going to trail up. This is going to come back down a little bit. So look at this around 88.18, 88.20 for it to come back up.
Gotcha.
Now, if I want to do a longer swing, and then, yeah, this is one of the few stocks where we are bullish for the last 90 days. I mean, look where we are. So this is something where I could, if you want, you can draw we can do these 180-day fibs since you're swinging it, and then you can have larger time frames. So again, you can see on this right here, look at the golden ratio, that's 61.8. Bounce off it, bounce off it. I don't know why this doesn't have the 70%. I thought there was one more in between here. I have to look that up. I don't know why it's not defaulted to it. So you can see there's a gap fill here that we just filled up. But you can see this huge sell-off, right? So there's really little volume. I mean, you can see that there's a lot of volume, but these are 4-hour bases. So even though you're seeing a lot of volume here, you got to consider that even though there's a lot less volume on these right here, right? But there's a lot of them. So all of these little ticks, these 4 hours with trading sideways, double, if not triple this volume right here. So it doesn't take a lot for this to be filled back up. So you can see we just filled that gap. There's another gap filled right here. If I want to draw, we can draw that right there, that 90.5. So I would say 90.5 would be our next form of resistance. Do you see that chart?
Yep.
Um, 78.6. I don't know why that's not showing up. So let me put that in there. Let's see where that is. I knew there was a 78. So yeah, you can see, I don't know why that's red. So yeah, you can see right here, we had a little bit of trouble to break that and then we broke it. Now we're moving up. Let's come to the weekly chart and see. So this is one of the few stocks that is showing a lot of strength. According to my notes per se, the circles and everything that I had on here, looks like I didn't look at it too long ago. And unfortunately, I wasn't paying much attention to it because this is why it's important to set, because we look at so many stocks, do so many different trainings. Some of them go off of our head. So if I had an alert right here, then I would have been able to look at this a couple of weeks ago. So I'll make that alert. I mean, I don't see energy coming back down to these levels anytime soon, but I made that alert, so we'll have to wait and see. American Airlines. So yeah, this one, oof, airplanes are hard. I think Boeing just missed earnings. I don't know. They just had earnings themselves. Looks like they did decent. So it bounced back quite a bit. It's hard for me to really trade airlines. If I do, I do jets, Delta or Boeing, just because the volume on this is pretty low. The stocks aren't the greatest with open interest, etc. So this is actually looking really good. We had a little bit of a sell-off, which is to be expected on earnings, but it bounced off that 21. And then now you can see we had 1, 2, 3, didn't quite touch it, 4 or 5 touches right here on that 200 EMA. So let's see if we can hold this $14 level. If we can hold that 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, then we should. And then again, like we said, I talked about party. I'll look at that stock next. But what's happening here in the next month or 2 months? People are going to be traveling a lot. So the guidance, I'm assuming, is going to be decent. So we have Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas, New Year's. A lot of people are traveling, so there's going to be money coming in. Again, not the most. We could technically draw a trend line right here. There seems to be 3 or 4 spots of touches. So yeah, so if we can bounce off that $14 level, then this could continue going up. So I would say this is a high watch. If it breaks 14, look for it to come down to this 200 EMA on the 1 hour. This will probably trail back up around this 1350. I will set an alert right there. You can see how we had a double top. Oh, that's a trend line. That's not a price. No wonder. You can see right here we have a double top. So this was support, or sorry, this was resistance, broke through, and then now we use that as a support. So let's see if that trades back down to this 13.6, 13.5 level. I'm expecting that 200 EMA to trail back up, and then we'll see where we go from there. Or it could bounce right here off this fib and then continue moving forward. Another one that party. So this right here is definitely always on high alerts. It's even if you just want to buy, so they have earnings coming up, right? So again, we have that we are just now the first time touching this 200 EMA on the floor. It's only $1.78. So even if you don't want to risk calls, you just want to throw some dollars into it and buy shares, we still have this cap fill over here from the last earnings. So the last earnings, it had obviously retail has taken a massive hit. I don't think this has been fully filled. So, I mean, it still has a little bit more room to go, but yeah, so this is $1 and it came back up. So if you bought shares here at the dollar, look at that. And here's from one earnings to the other. So they had decent earnings and then it shot up, right? This right here is in August. I don't know what would have caused this, but again, all stocks really must go up. So if you bought this at $1, even if you bought this at $1.50, you almost double. I mean, 260. That's quite a bit of percentage, right? So if you usually buy $50 to $100, $200 stocks, this is a lot safer of a trade because unless they go bankrupt, your shares will never go away. So you always have. Unfortunately, I missed it here at this $1.15, but expect this to come back up to 275. So you really can't complain about a 70-80% stock increase. So again, with Jets, like all of these are looking really, really good. They're all at that 4-hour 200 EMA. So 23, let's put it there. So I'm expecting a little bit of relief here, depending, and then we'll have to wait and see if oil goes down, if OPEC comes out. I read something that the Biden administration is working with something regarding Saudi Arabia and OPEC. So if they come out and they start bringing more barrels back into supply, obviously Marathon and all those are going to go down, and then this should go up. But 16.88, and then so as long as we stay above that 90 EMA, we should be pretty, because you can see what happens when we're below that 90 EMA, right? We're touching it, bouncing down to the downside, came up, couldn't hold, kept coming down, and then now we're looking to stay above it. So that 200 EMA in the 4 hours, that 90 EMA is going to be squeezing this. Expect this Jets to be, this is really, really small account friendly. This is the airline ETF, so expect this to be in 1920 to 20s, I'd assume soon. Delta just had their earnings and they obviously did well. So again, we just broke that 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. We haven't been above that since June of this year. So Delta looks to be doing pretty well. All right, so about any more questions? If not, I'm gonna head off of here. And I hope you guys have a great trading day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Do you have any other chart requests?
I'm good.
Okay. Did you go back and look at your, what was it you got in last week or earlier this week, the oil? You swung it.
Oh yeah, that worked out.
It did. Was it Marathon?
No, Oxy.
No, Oxy. That's good, but yeah, you definitely saw where you made the mistake, right? And how you could have averaged down a little bit before.
Yeah.
So again, you can see right here that one, I haven't updated this, but you can see even today, what did it touch off of? It bounced off of the all-time highs before coming up. So this could have been another entry once you saw it bounce off of that.
Yeah.
So, but according to your all's trades, I am glad to see a couple losses in there just so you can get the feel and you're able to see where you went wrong in there. If they're all wins, then you really don't learn much. So thanks for joining. I will go ahead and log off of here. And then I will start to download this and get this up on YouTube for all this evening. Did you see I did post the recording of the other one? Did you see that, Tanya? So if you do want to go back at the other one and look at AMD from last week, because we covered that pretty exclusively. So AMD is trading very, very well according to FIBs. So if you want to go back and look at AMD last week, you can. But again, thanks for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to message me, reach out into the Small Accounts Challenge tab. If not, have a great evening and we'll see you later.
See ya.